Still in Search of Water is our interactive VR experience where players immerse themselves as a girl in Ethiopia. Players will take on her daily routines and struggles due to lack of clean water access in the village. This will be an opportunity to experience firsthand and acknowledge the water crisis around the world. Through this first-hand experience, we hope to elicit disturbance and surprise from the user, followed by deeper recognition of the issue. The experience will start in the living room of a modernized house where the player is watching a documentary that captures a girl's daily routine in the village of Ethiopia. The player falls asleep and turns up in the village house that was in the documentary she was just watching. The player will hear the baby's noise and turn towards the subject. Interacting with mom will provide a starting point for the journey to the stream, as the mom asks the player to fetch water to make soup for her crying ill sister. The player will use a joystick to navigate down the path to the stream. We chose this locomotion method to keep the walk as realistic as possible. This also slows down the journey to the stream and gives a chance for the player to observe the rough and unsafe terrain structure, which is depicting real-life village terrains in Ethiopia. We used sensory and imaginary immersion to increase believability and heighten the player's embodiment in the experience. For sensory immersion, we used audio and visual assets to depict the landscape and living conditions in real-life villages of Ethiopia. Reinforced by sensory inputs such as the farm animal ambience and realistic-looking terrain, imaginative immersion allows different stages and tasks within the experience to gradually enhance the player's presence in the world. For example, talking with mom or interacting with a bystander allows the player to feel like a real villager in Ethiopia. The absence of narration also gives her the agency and creativity to make sense of the world by piecing together information presented throughout the environment. Once the player arrives at the stream, the scenery of people collecting water from the same water source that the animals are drinking from, and how the water is heavily contaminated with flies around, all plays into the player's sensory immersion. Having to collect water from the polluted water source will induce a great disturbance and dissonance in player's worldview, allowing her to more deeply resonate with the severity of the water crisis. Upon arriving at the house, the player goes to the storage room to store the water. At this point, she wakes up from the dream and transitions back to the initial living room where she notices a cup of water on the table. Alternating between two different scenes also gives a contrasting experience where the player feels greater appreciation for the accessibility of water. Before entering our rig, the player will first exhibit the photo gallery that captures the water crisis in the sub-Saharan Africa region. The rig will be set in an isolated room decorated with woods and dirt, mimicking the village condition in Ethiopia. The heater will be on throughout the experience to simulate the harshness of weather condition. We'll prepare shoulder-strapped jugs of water and have the player wear it on both sides of their arm when they're going up the mountain in VR. After the experience, we'll have a quick interview for them to learn about our intention as well as us learning about their experience. We'll have a separate table to guide them to more tangible ways to take action on the issue, where we'll provide them with further resources and donation links depending on their needs. For people in Canada, where there is an abundance of clean water supply, it's easy to forget how valuable water is. We wanted to create an opportunity for people to see what is actually going down on the other side of the world by giving a contrasted experience of being a civilian in Ethiopia. We hope the experience will shift the player's value and appreciation for water and elicit actionable empathy for people who don't have the same.